How's it going, guys? It's NerdGasm. Before we get into the following video, I just want to let you all know, real quick, that my channel now has merch. Check out my online store at teespring.com. Let your nerd flag fly by rocking the channel's logo, and help support all it is that I do. Now, without further delay, please enjoy today's video. Two-Face is easily one of the best villains found within Batman's rogues gallery, and when it comes to comics featuring him, look no further than the Batman Annual from 1990 and its one-shot story entitled The Eye of the Beholder, widely regarded as one of, if not the, greatest Two-Face stories ever told. The Eye of the Beholder is a retelling of Two-Face's origin, done expertly well, might I add, and has a very up-close and personal feel to it. You really get a strong sense of who Harvey Dent, Two-Face, is in this story. He takes center stage, and it's evident from the moment you pick this comic up. Just look at the cover. Hot damn, is it a good one. Up there is one of my personal favorites. It was drawn by the legendary Neil Adams, and tells you everything you need to know before going in. There is no denying this is all about Two-Face. This is his story. The trick is you call it for him. Watch it now. You see? You can't tell. It works every time. You can't lose. Take it. Go ahead. I got plenty more. Always have. Always will. In the Batcave, Batman is trying to uncover the next clue behind a series of murders targeting the elderly in Gotham City. On this night, he feels he has the information he needs to find out where the killer is going to strike next, and departs. Batman tracks down the culprit, who the tabloids have nicknamed the Senior Slasher, walking down the street right after he had finished up with his newest victims. The killer is revealed to be the surgeon Rudolph Klemper. Despite Klemper's psychopathic nature made clear right in front of Batman with a confession to the murders no less, he exhibits some of the symptoms and behaviors of someone with dissociative identity disorder when the police arrive. Regardless of whether the killings were intentional or not, he is arrested and awaits trial. 6 grueling months go by before the trial takes place, with Harvey Dent acting as the prosecutor. The evidence against Klemper is inconclusive. What he said to Batman is inadmissible as evidence, and sure enough, the jury finds him not guilty, which causes an uproar in the courthouse. Harvey goes into his office to find Dr. Klemper waiting for him. Klemper reveals that he did in fact have 2 distinct personalities, one named Little Rudy, which committed all the murders, and another guiltless Dr. Klemper that would appear innocent and confused when he had to take the stand. The evil doctor departs, telling Harvey that he sees something dark inside him as well, and gives him some advice to let it loose. Later, at Klemper's estate, he tells his guests that he will be filing a civil suit against Dent for his false arrest, which should bury the DA, and guarantee that he will not be re-elected. During the night, Klemper receives a phone call and picks it up, hearing Dent's voice on the other side, telling him that he has taken his advice, and sets off an explosion within Klemper's house, killing him. 2 sides of every coin. Got a 50-50 chance. Your tails. Why can't I ever be heads? Tails you win, heads you lose. You lose. A week after Klemper's death, Captain Gordon, Harvey Dent, and Batman meet up and form an alliance. Both Dent and Batman want to save the city and put its criminals behind bars, so they decide to share information, with Harvey giving Batman his number in the hopes of better navigating this corrupt system. Something to keep note of is that this story takes place during Batman's 2nd year as a vigilante, so the city and even the police are still a bit new to the whole man dressed as a bat thing. That's why, even though Batman got a confession out of Klemper earlier, it didn't hold up in court. No one fully trusts him yet as a vigilante. They don't know whose side he's really on. Anyways, it doesn't take long before Batman and Harvey's alliance starts paying off, as Dent is able to put away criminal after criminal, going so far as nabbing crime boss Sal Maroni, one of the most dangerous men in the city. Despite this, Many of them are able to make bail, which frustrates Dent even further. When confronted by Batman, Dent asks him to plant evidence to frame some of the suspects, even going so far as wanting Batman to kill them, feeling it would be easy for someone like him. Batman obviously refuses, but shockingly, Dent offers to do it all himself, and Batman is forced to put him in his place, which causes Dent to stand down. Heads, you lose. Fair and square. Daddy, don't. You're a bad boy. I'm a good boy. Good boys don't do bad things. Bad boys don't do good things. I'm good. You made your choice. No choice. In order to delay his trial, Sal Maroni sends a hitman to take Harvey out, only for Dent to senselessly beat him when his darker personality takes hold. Maroni meets with Dent's corrupted assistant, Adrian Fields, and the two orchestrate an attack on Dent, which will take place in the courtroom the following day. The trial begins, and Harvey, fed up with the broken system, begins to daydream, shooting Sal Maroni close range with a gun, and then firing upon the observers watching in attendance. He is snapped out of it when the judge demands that he call his next witness, none other than Sal Maroni. What happens next is the classic origin of Two-Face. Maroni pulls out a bottle of acid, in this case made to look like antacid for his stomach, and throws it in Dent's face. Maroni is then shot and killed by the bailiffs, but the damage had already been done. 2 weeks later, in the hospital, Harvey Dent's bandages are removed by his doctor as they make plans for reconstructive surgery. Harvey's wife Gilda also gives him his lucky silver dollar, which had been damaged in the courtroom attack. Seeing it sparks a memory from his childhood, one that makes sense of all these cryptic coin-flipping sequences we had seen in the story up until now. Dent's father would beat his son and use a special two-headed coin to decide whether or not he would go through with it, making it a game of sorts, giving his son false hope. He made sure to always call heads first, and being that the coin only features heads, it was impossible for Harvey to win, so the beatings would always continue. To cope with all of this abuse, Harvey would develop a split personality and bury that darker and unlawful side of him deep down all his life. It's only after he is scarred that Harvey's evil side rears its ugly head once again, both literally and figuratively. Batman pays a visit to Harvey in the hospital, reassuring him that the agreement they had made still stands. The Dark Knight has found evidence linking the acid used on Dent's face to Harvey's assistant and newly appointed DA following his accident, Adrian Fields. The next day, Harvey escapes from the hospital, knocking an orderly who had been pushing his wheelchair to the ground. He breaks into Fields' home, armed with a gun, and threatens to end Adrian's life, just like Fields had attempted to end his. In desperation, Fields offers to give Harvey a stockpile of incriminating information on Gotham City's criminals, so Harvey can control its underworld, while Fields, acting as DA, will let him. Half of Dent wants to accept the offer, and the other half wants to violently refuse. It's up to the coin to decide. Thankfully, Batman arrives, crashing through the window behind them. He is unable to subdue Harvey long enough, though, and Fields is killed by a gunshot, which also injures the Dark Knight, leaving him incapacitated on the floor. Dent retrieves the files from the deceased Fields, and believes they are what he needs to start a new life, one with endless possibilities, as he puts it. Batman tries to get up, but Harvey gives him a kick for good measure, and then makes his escape. The police arrive, and Batman reveals that he had landed on Harvey's trick two-headed coin, their only lead as to where he might be. The Caped Crusader takes it to Harvey's wife Gilda, who sheds light on Harvey's past, the abuse he put up with from his father, and the sick, unwinnable game he had played with him using the coin that led to each of the beatings. Batman tracks Dent down to the Piedmont Motel, where his father has been staying. Harvey confronts him regarding the game they once played, and how it has made him the man he is today. With a new coin he quickly scratches the one side of. Harvey wants to play it one last time. If it lands clean side up, his father will live, and if it lands scarred side up, his father will die. He explains that half of him always knew the game they played was rigged, that there were always two faces, and there was never really a choice, but the other half wanted to believe the good could conquer the evil, hold it down, and that there was a choice. Why are we doing this? Because now we are two faces, one good, the other bad, 50-50, half and half, opposite yet equal, because we're deadlocked, and when that happens, we let the coin decide. As the coin falls into Harvey's palm, Batman breaks through the door and into the room. The result is clean side up, and Harvey willingly surrenders to Batman. Months later, Dent finds himself within Arkham Asylum, having gone through an experimental plastic surgery to repair his face. He is hopeful towards his future, and intends on returning to his normal life, his job, his wife, everything. However, he is haunted by his alternate personality, which has begun to resurface once again. It demands that it be let out and be given free rein. The mental battle results in Harvey reopening his facial scars, and his other personality reminding him that they have no choice at all. And there you have it, The Eye of the Beholder, arguably the best origin story Two-Face has ever had. I think it portrays Harvey's transformation brilliantly, not only with his physical form, but also the irreparable damage done to his psyche as a result of the abuse and torment he suffered when he was a child. The story gives a strong explanation behind Two-Face using a coin, and why it features two heads on it. It all revolves around choice. His father created an illusion of choice with Harvey, making him believe good and evil had a fair chance when they clearly didn't. When Harvey would lose and was beaten, he was deemed a bad boy, so he always felt the bad side of him was winning. He would develop a second personality, one that was unruly, and it was only through growing up and pursuing a law career that he managed to bury it deep down. The injury sustained at the hands of Sal Maroni in the courtroom was the catalyst behind Harvey's full transformation into Two-Face, but the genesis of his breakdown was already apparent beforehand. It was on the horizon. Harvey's mind had reached its melting point. The pressures of fixing Gotham, such a broken and corrupted city, was becoming too much for him. He was working long hours, and his mind and body were becoming exhausted as a result. The Eye of the Beholder is a pretty dark comic, playing on the more gruesome and monstrous aspects behind the Two-Face character. Harvey's transformation in this story is made pretty damn believable, and being that it's a one-shot, its pacing and focus is immaculate, making it a pretty quick and digestible story for anyone who doesn't have the time to read massive multi-part storylines. The Eye of the Beholder is arguably the best origin story we've had for Two-Face, but a close second would have to be Batman The Long Halloween, at least in my opinion. You could argue its depiction of Harvey's descent from DA to supervillain isn't as strong as in Eye of the Beholder, but then again, The Long Halloween has a lot more going on in it. It's a completely different kind of story. It's like comparing apples to oranges. I don't think it's really fair. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it insightful in some way. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and show your support for everything it is that I do. If you would like to have a say in what comic I analyze next on the channel, all you have to do is become a patron for my content over on patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. I have monthly polls to determine which comics and even video games I take a look at next, so if you'd like to be a part of it, head on over now. I will see you all in the next one. Take care and long live your inner nerd.